For the longest time, what made a car great felt, well, pretty simple. It was all about speed, noise, and just pure feeling. But the world has changed, and let me tell you, the definition of automotive greatness has been completely rewritten. In this explainer, we're going to track that exact evolution from raw, unadulterated passion to this complex mix of physics, data, and practicality. So let's just dive right in with that big question. What actually makes a car great? I mean, if you had to pick the single greatest car right now, what would you even look for? Is it the fastest, the most beautiful, the most reliable, or maybe the most efficient? The crazy thing is, the answer you give today is probably radically different from the one you would have given just over a decade ago. And look, this isn't just some boring, abstract debate. As this quote from Top Gear magazine shows, people get really passionate about this stuff, setting a chair on fire passionate. For a long time, the argument wasn't settled with spreadsheets or data. It was all about pure emotion. And that's exactly where we're going to start.
Okay, let's rewind the clock to a time when greatness was really measured in horsepower and goosebumps. This was an era just dominated by feeling, where the best cars were the ones that stirred your soul, often by trying to tear it right out of your body with sheer overwhelming force.
And the undisputed king of this era? Oh, it had to be the Bugatti Veyron. Back in 2013, Top Gear asked over 100,000 of their readers, and this was it, the greatest car of the last 2 decades. This thing was an absolute engineering marvel with just one goal: be the fastest, most powerful production car on the planet, and who cares about the cost? And this quote, man, it just nails the whole vibe of that era perfectly. The Veyron's greatness wasn't about miles per gallon or how many bags of groceries you could fit in it. Nope. It was about the raw, visceral, almost unbelievable shock of its performance. It was a monument to pure access and emotion. And hey, it wasn't just the Veyron. The top cars of that time were all about these emotional highs. You had the surgical precision of the Ferrari 458, the absolutely outrageous styling of the Lamborghini Gallardo, the, let's be nice and call it unforgettable character of the Fiat Multipla, or just the pure, simple fun of a Toyota GT86. The one thing they all had in common was the experience they gave you. Okay, but while all this passion and drama was playing out on magazine covers, something else was happening. A quiet revolution, really, brewing right under the skin of every new car. You see, forces from the outside world, we're talking government regulations, were about to completely change the rules of the game for the entire industry. The age of emotion was about to slam headfirst into the hard reality of physics. And this right here, this is the game changer. In 2012, the US government finalized what's called the Corporate Average Fuel Economy, or CAFE standards. This wasn't a friendly suggestion, it was a mandate. Car makers had to make their cars way, way more fuel efficient, or they'd face absolutely massive fines. All of a sudden, brute force was out, and efficiency was everything. So how do you do that? What's the mission? Well, the most direct path was to put every single car on a serious diet. The whole industry basically went on this massive quest to cut weight from every component. The body, the frame, even the engine itself. It's simple physics, right? A lighter car just needs less energy to get going. And this led to this incredible, invisible revolution. We all see the shiny paint on the outside, but underneath, the actual materials cars were made of were changing. Car makers started shifting away from old-school steel to these advanced, lightweight materials like composites and aluminum alloys, basically borrowing tricks straight from the aerospace industry. Seriously, this one rule kicked off this massive wave of innovation. Suddenly, the focus was all on lightweight composites, using aluminum everywhere, and developing super advanced aerodynamics. Engines actually got smaller, but they got turbocharged to squeeze out more power with less fuel. The whole game shifted from brute force to clever technical efficiency. Now, at the exact same time all this engineering stuff is happening, a totally different force is entering the ring, and its name is data. For the first time, huge amounts of information about what it's like to actually own a car long-term were being collected and analyzed, giving all of us a powerful new way to judge cars' reliability. Organizations like Consumer Reports started ranking entire brands on how reliable they were likely to be, and they were using data from hundreds of thousands of actual car owners. And all of a sudden, you're seeing brands like Subaru, Lexus, and Toyota climbing to the top of the charts. Not for their 0 to 60 times, but because their cars just don't break down as often. Okay, so you'd think, right? The new wave of electric and hybrid cars.
they've got to be more reliable, don't they? I mean, electric cars have way fewer moving parts. It seems like a no-brainer. But the data reveals a pretty surprising twist that kind of challenges what we all thought about new tech.
Well, hold on, because the data tells a pretty shocking story. According to Consumer Reports, full-on electric vehicles have on average 42% more problems than regular gas cars. And it's even worse for plug-in hybrids, the ones with both a gas engine and a plug-in motor. Because they have two complex systems working together, they have a staggering 70% more issues. And to really hammer this point home, get this. The data shows that one of the most popular vehicles in America, the Ford F-150, is actually the single least reliable model in the entire survey when it's the hybrid version. It just goes to show that adding complexity, even with the best intentions, can create a whole bunch of new problems.
So, where does all of this leave us today? Well, the modern great car can't just be one thing anymore. It has to be a master of all trades. It needs to be this complex blend of that emotional appeal we used to love, but also meet the tough demands of efficiency, technology, and of course, reliability.
I mean, just look at the shift here. It's crystal clear. A decade ago, we were all talking about speed, design, and thrill. Today, the conversation is dominated by things like reliability, safety features, fuel efficiency, and just plain old good value. The heart still wants what it wants, for sure, but the brain now has a much, much bigger say in the final decision. And if you look at the best of lists today, you can totally see this new balancing act in action. Lists from Consumer Reports and Car and Driver are full of reliable, efficient choices like the Honda Civic Hybrid and Toyota Camry, sitting right alongside these cutting-edge EVs like the Lucid Air and Kia EV9. They all represent a new, much more complicated kind of excellence.
So, what's the takeaway? Well, the whole idea of one single greatest car, it's kind of fallen apart, hasn't it? The definition itself has evolved from this simple, passionate gut feeling into a really sophisticated, multifaceted equation.
I mean, this whole journey, going from the raw thunder of a 1,000-horsepower engine to the silent, almost eerie efficiency of a modern electric car, it's one of the biggest shifts the car world has ever seen. Greatness isn't just shouted from the rooftops anymore. Now it's engineered with incredible microscopic precision.
At the end of the day, what it all means is this. The debate over the greatest car isn't a monologue about power anymore. It's a conversation. It's a constant back and forth between our passion for excitement, the cold, hard laws of physics, and the real-world demands of just living our lives.
And that, of course, leaves us with one big question to chew on. We have seen this absolutely dramatic shift in just a little over a decade, with technology accelerating like crazy. I mean, we've got autonomous driving and totally new battery chemistries right around the corner. What is this conversation even going to look like 20 years from now? What will be the measure of greatness then?